Great now to have Tom King back with us, who is here with sport.
And thank you very much, Megan. Good to be back after having a week's break and back on K-Rock from Monday morning too. Just a quick plug for my employers at FM 95.5 on the half hour from 6 till 9. But let's kick it off with the footy club, Geelong. Big day tomorrow. It's AFL draft day. All the talk, of course, about Jack Watson, Nicholas Natanui and, well, who will Melbourne take with the number one pick? Well, Geelong won't get a chance to look at those two. What will they get? Pick 15, their first of 6 in the draft. We know that Ben Cousins won't be one of their 6 picks and is highly unlikely to be anybody's pick. The Cats, though, will be looking for somebody that can fill a couple of holes. What are they looking for? Probably a midfielder, maybe a defender as well. Someone in the mould of Harry Taylor, of course. Milburn, Scarlett, Harley coming to the twilight of their careers, so something there. And maybe a key forward too, Cam Mooney, also coming to the end of his career in the next 2 or 3 seasons. So keep an eye out for what Geelong does. We'll have a full wrap of the draft next Friday on Good Morning Geelong. They've got plenty of money at the moment. The Cats, a $1.2 million profit, and they'll clear the debt from Stage 1 redevelopment sometime early next year. It's about $400,000 at the moment. That'll be cleaned up by April. So the Cats tracking beautifully despite these harsh economic times. Membership's now on sale, 37,000 the target, and they've just announced that Watpac will build the new Ross Drew stand. Whether it'll be called the Ross Drew stand, we'll have to wait and see. But of course, it is that stand that'll be built between the Doug Wade and, of course, the Brownlow stands. VFL, Dale Amos has been appointed coach of the Geelong VFL side. Fantastic news for the footy club and for local footy as well. Of course, a triple premiership coach with South Barwon. This year they finished third, knocked out in the preliminary final. Dale missed the season with a knee injury. Was going to play on next year with South Barwon despite not being in a coaching role, but will take over at the Cats. Lee Tudor unexpectedly standing down and taking a role with St Kilda. That means now at the footy club, Ron Watt, who had success, of course, at North Shore after starting with Red West. Brendan McCartney, who, of course, had all those premierships at Ocean Grove and came from Newtown and Chilwell originally. And Ken Hinkley, who, of course, coached Bell Park to a premiership, have all come locally and are now on Geelong's coaching staff. It is a fantastic justification for looking locally for your coaching talent. Let's look at local footy now. The fixtures for both the Bellarine and the Geelong Football League have been released for season 2009. They'll both start on April 4. It'll be a split round for the GFL. St Mary's will have to wait until round 2, though, against Colac to unfurl their premiership flag. A bit of irony there, of course, the Saints knocking off the Tigers to win their first flag in 4 years this year. And Geelong Amateur will have to wait till round 3 against Queenscliff to unfurl their flag. Now, with the season starting together in the split round in the GFL, means the grand final for the Bellarine will be played on September 12 next year and September 19 for our good friends in the GFL. That, though, means a clash between the Bellarine, the Geelong and District, and more than likely the Colac and District Footy League. Is it a situation we want? Probably not. Both leagues are adamant it won't affect their gates. Well, I'll tell you what it will, and media coverage as well is probably going to hurt. Myself, I'll find it impossible to get to be at 2 grand finals at once. I'll more likely be at the Bellarine. That's no disrespect to the GDFL. That's just the way it is, unfortunately. Cricket now, and time for a look at the Geelong Cricket Club. They played a draw with Paran last week. It was a washout day 2 at Toorak Park. The Cats had made 197. Paran were 3 for 60 odd. The match was on a bit of a knife edge, although the Cats were going to be without Lukey Muller, their spinner, who was injured in last week's massive 2020 loss to Carlton. The Cats playing 2020 this week against North Melbourne. They continue this week, 2-day against Essendon at Geelong Cricket Ground. They sit 4th at the moment, 5 points behind Premiership leader and last year's 2-day champions, Ringwood. Tickets are now on sale for the KFC 2020 Big Bash, of course, Victoria and Queensland on January 4 at Cardinia Park. The drop-in pitch, the work has started feverishly on that. Hopes of a crowd of between 15 and 20,000 now, and with some good weather and a later afternoon start, there should be no problems in getting a good crowd there. Netball and the newly formed Geelong Netball Club are in training right now. We'll get details in the next month or so on what their nickname will be and how they'll all be set up and how their season will work. Looking forward to that. Basketball, former Geelong Super Cat star Greg Smith, who also played in an NBL championship with the Perth Wildcats, has been appointed coach of the Geelong Big V Division 1 side. He replaces Melbourne Tigers legend Leonard Copeland. It'll be interesting to see if Greg plays. He played with Hume City or the old Broadmeadows in the last 3 or 4 years in the Big V ABA conference. And, well, good to see a former Super Cat back in the fold in Geelong basketball. Cycling, and Warn Ponds Lee Howard has finished second in the UCI World Track final 15k scratch race at Hisense Arena in Melbourne. Now, Lee had one of those moments that everybody dreads, celebrating a win when in fact you've been beaten. It happened a couple of times this year where footy side celebrated wins. I think Brent Harvey celebrated a victory in one game with Brady Rawlings, put the arms up, and it ended up being a draw. Well, Lee Howard had one of those types of moments, but proving that come 2012 in London, he is going to be a legitimate gold medal chance at the 2012 Olympic Games. So keep an eye out for Lee over the next few years, especially when he heads to Delhi too for the 2010 Commonwealth Games. And before we go, Geelong jockey Jamie Mott suspended for 4 months after testing positive to cocaine. He was tested after a meet on October 18 and was found to have traces of cocaine in his system. So 4 months on the sidelines for Jamie. Just on some late breaking racing news too, night racing, a possibility at Geelong in the future, hasn't been ruled out by the Geelong Racing Club or Racing Victoria. We should have more on that over the next few weeks. Although we're only 3 or 4 weeks away from Christmas, I tell you what, we're not winding down. There is plenty of sport to happen over the next month or so, including the build-up to the Sydney to Hobart yacht race. Shogun, of course, Rob Hannon, the skipper, the Geelong Yacht Club's boat, will of course contest with a new boat this year in the Sydney to Hobart. It's all for this week, Megan. We'll be back next Friday morning with a complete wrap of sport on Good Morning Geelong. It's back to you.
We hope that you've enjoyed today's show. It's been great to have your company, as always. Now, we'll be back with you at the same time next Friday on Good Morning Geelong. See you then.